Hi, everyone. Welcome to our XRAI weekly news with Dom and Team. Here are the news for this week. Team, do you want to go first?
Sure, thanks, Tom. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is the Vive Ultimate Tracker. And this does full body tracking for XR games, which is really interesting. It does standalone inside out tracking. So there's no need for a base or any sort of other equipment to be able to track a full body. It's also got extended play. The battery life is really, really good on this, and it works with any VR setup. So even compatible with PCs, and standalone systems like the Quest and the Apple Vision Pro. It's really quick. It does a really good job of tracking the body. The latency is really, really low. And the reason this is important is that it really expands the ability to create interactive games that use your full body. And it's not even just for XR stuff. You can also do other sort of fitness-based things or training, and even some robotic stuff you can do with kind of this full body tracker setup. Why is it a real big deal? I think everybody's seen the old Meta Horizon avatars that didn't have legs, and so that was a little bit kind of jarring at first. And then also for locomotion, kind of when you get into these experiences, you can get better um, things you can move around better, and it's more realistic to you. It also allows you to interact with other people. So more, body gestures. Think a training partner for a fitness app is a really interesting use case. I've seen a lot of dance ideas kind of in the XR space that have been hard to do because you can't really track people's feet. You can see them move, and there's a lot of hand tracking now, which is really great. But this creates a better gaming experience for kind of both fitness and esports stuff. So you can kick a ball, for example. You can dodge something, and like even yoga, you can do yoga poses and match, an avatar that's helping you understand how to do yoga. So I think there's a lot of this unlocks a lot of really, really interesting things, and it's got a pretty low footprint. Like it doesn't need a lot of stuff to get up and running, and it's really high quality. That's the other thing. Like I've seen other things where you put several trackers on your body, and the latency is a little off, and you just can't use it for real life applications if that makes sense. So as these headsets move to, full body immersion and you're able to use more of your body, we can really start to get a lot more value, like, we start to track cardio associated with, lifting your legs and how much more that really drives. It really also makes our digital self much more complete. So it gives us the opportunity to be more of ourselves if we're the type of person who moves around a lot. This really kind of ties to that, and it helps to bring that realism into those social realms. So I think this is a really big step forward. I think full body tracking is going to be, critical as we continue to move forward in the XR space, and I'm glad to see this solution is out there. The second thing I'd like to talk about is been big news. I think a lot of people have seen it, but Unity released their mixed reality multiplayer tabletop template, and this allows cross-device play. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be on the same device or in the same ecosystem, which is super cool. It allows you to connect with a wider group of people. And the shared spatial anchors, where you see the same things and can interact with objects in the same space, is really, really, it opens up a lot of gaming opportunities. I've seen a lot of, I think that the template's pretty much a chessboard or a checkerboard out of the box, but there's a lot of different things that you can do when you can start to collaborate around similar objects. It also has gesture and hand tracking, so you have the ability to pick up and move things kind of in that shared space, which, for gaming like chess is a really, really important thing so that you have a shared experience. And then again, I'm just going to reiterate that it works on, multiple platforms, the Quest, the HoloLens, the Magic Leap, and much more.
Yeah, actually, I downloaded it and I tried like 2 days ago. And the good thing about it is that it uses OpenXR.
Yeah.
And if you develop on Meta, like a download Meta API or SDK. And Meta SDK recently they switched their hand tracking from Meta specific for Meta. They changed to OpenXR. So pretty much I find out that right now everybody is trying to do OpenXR. OpenXR means it cross different device, and the input system will be from old. Old will be more like a Quest controller to new input system, which everybody need to bundle. For example, you are some yeah, because for OpenXR, it's more like you do the input system, and then all the input system will apply to every device. So those input system need to be bundled. So yeah, so I find out it's really good. And before I was working on like immersive literature, and before I was using Meta SDK, but after I saw that, I was like, wow, actually, this is better because before I was putting on the floor. And
Yep.
floor is top down. And then table, the good thing about table is that you can look the character like a more like a align the like a same horizon instead of bird view, because bird view you only can see the small head. And do this, I can make the dollhouse a little bit cut open instead of cutting top. So there are a lot of interesting things, and it just make my life so easier. And I don't have to, because before I spent like a 1 month to try to do detect room and spell things. It took me so long, but that thing, it's a fake table, and you just automatically play that, and I can just focus on the story instead
Yep.
of trying to create everything from scratch. Yeah.
Yep, that's a really good point. I think the mixed reality it's a lovely thing, and then because of the device fragmentation right now of all the different types of devices, and some are moving, in that uh, form factor from a full headset to just a kind of more of a glasses headset like Project Orion. I think it's important to have that OpenXR framework
Yeah.
so that you can engage more players, and as an individual or a indie game development company, that's really
Yeah.
important to be able to get as many users as possible. So really good
Yeah.
point. And to talk a little bit more about this tabletop template enables things like strategy games, Dungeon and Dragons games, and card games, which really haven't been available
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. If you go to like a MetaQuest store or any other store, I think the MetaQuest store is the largest one so far. You can see it's pretty much VR. If you see mixed reality, sometimes I think a mixed reality is still in experiment. The best one I saw is probably Wall Town Wonders, that you spell little town on your wall. And the other good one is that I think a cryptic cabinet, which you need to download from GitHub and then try it. I try it and find out this is so cool. Unfortunately, it feels like the template was a little hard to apply, but I
Yeah.
really like all those like the meta developer works so hard, create a lot of really great template on GitHub open and for us to download, and we just put our thing there. So I think a mixed reality definitely will have a lot of good application, and we are just at the starting point.
And something I don't think people talk about enough is the when you're doing mixed reality, that you
Mm,
don't get as much screen fatigue because you're not trying to
yeah.
process the whole environment, only the thing that you're
Yes.
focused on. So I think that's a really important thing. This while it's focused on gaming right now for the template, there's a lot of other collaborative things that you can do. Think, medical training, for example, or,
Mm,
work collaboration where you're designing something together or looking at a
yeah.
3D model of, a new part that's going to be manufactured. It opens up a lot of really interesting things. So I think we'll see a lot more of this collaborative experiences. And it automatically drives up your user base. If you've got two people versus one person in the experience,
Yeah.
you're automatically driving up your user base. So I think this is definitely the way things are going to go.
Yeah, and as for example, like a lightweight, like the glass looks like yours, right?
Yeah.
It has less place to put chips. So the rendering, I would feel like instead of covering the entire 360 space with super high quality if we take that out and put only do things that need, for example, tabletop, right? I think it will really helps us to migrate to more like a lightweight AR glass. Yeah, for example, like the reason why I switched to VR before I did the entire VR experience, the Riven, the reason why I changed is because I upload to SideQuest and I need to keep downgrading because they only allow 1 gigabyte
Hmm.
for their free space. And for people who download, they need to download that 1 gigabyte just to experience that. And
Yep.
imagine if you want to put like a 510, it's like a 10 gigabyte, right? And for Quest, it's like, 250, right? Or like a one, like it's not a lot of gigabyte to download. And for that chunky device, let
Yep.
alone the, in the future, the small, like a device. So I think kind of optimize the size, the performance, it will be really helpful for the future of scalable types of like software.
Absolutely agree. And it can help you focus on the things that are important.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
I'm going to switch to the Wirt Touch Driver Pro, which is another new piece of technology that has come out to help people experience XR. Um, People know about haptics, with the device, with the controllers, and you can apply haptics. I really think that's a thing that you can apply that really lifts your experience up to the next level. And what the Wirt Touch Driver Pro does is it allows you to sense multiple sensory haptics. So you can do pressure, text, and vibration for a much more lifelike experience. It's gloves that you put on. It's not a bulky exoskeleton that tethers to something else that stands alone. And you can actually accurately feel gripping and then kind of the pressure and weight of interacting with physical objects. So that gives you some more tactile experience to really bring you in and also be able to do some fine motor detail with some of these objects. It's also cross platform. So talking about kind of this open XR experience, you can use it in Unity, Unreal Engine, and all the standalone headsets. It's really designed for VR training and simulation and industrial use. I think we'll see a lot more enterprise type applications where there's driving real business value and also real investment dollars behind it as we go forward. And why is this? Why are haptics a game changer? It really lets you have a much more realistic interaction with these objects. And so, you know, you're more connected to your hands and connected to the environment. And particularly when we start to get into these mixed reality experiences where you're dealing with a real object, it just continues to have your brain process that mixed reality environment as real, and encourages a much more rich interaction. This will also help us do much more effective training, particularly for things that require hand interactions and manipulating objects. This gives a great opportunity to do those more precise interactions. And then it also unlocks a whole new thing in the gaming industry, right? Like the ability to pull a bow back on a arrow as you're getting ready to shoot, or the recoil if you've got a gun, you can feel the kickback on that gun and those types of things that really. And then texturally, you can feel if rock or stone feels different than a smooth wall, you'd be able to feel those types of things. This is going to be a really big advance as AI gets involved with these types of haptics and are able to kind of customize the experience for you. I think it's going to be really, really, really powerful as we move forward. So I think haptics are an area that people should start to look at. How can they add that even at a lightweight level into their XR experiences to really level it up?
Yeah, I think for XR, the haptics is very important because when we sense things, not only just visual, audio, but also haptics, smell, and the touch, right? So I think if we can mimic those types of experience, it will definitely change the immersion for XR.
Really good point. Okay, the last thing I'd like to cover. This is one of my favorite events of the year. It's the MIT Reality Hack 2025. It's held every year in Massachusetts. This year it was from January 23rd to the 27th at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Brings together a really diverse group of people exploring the edges of XR. I think it brings together, industry professionals and people who are just starting. I think the diverse perspective of multiple different people kind of trying new things and really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with XR. They start with the Experiential Innovation Conference. It really gives people the ability to do presentations and panels and workshops led by industry experts. So you kind of learn a lot about what people are doing from a kind of R&D and pushing the envelope position. And then they have the Founders Lab where selected teams get mentored by industry pros. And so that combination of, again, people who are new to the space and have really great ideas and people who've been in this space for a while and can help them execute those ideas. I think that's a winning partnership. There were a whole bunch of competitors this year, and I just want to cover a few of the winners. So the best in hack, the gold prize went to Yigo. The silver prize went to Through Their Eyes, and the bronze prize went to TempSense, which is also another haptics type experience. The Founders Lab Awards went to Grand Prize went to Diego again. Second place went to XR Cupid, which was an AI-driven platform offering romance coaching through mixed reality. And then the Moonshot winners were On Book and Mirage. Just to touch a little bit on Diego, it's an AR mobility app and it's designed to aid individuals who are using walkers, and it gives them more information about their environment so that they can navigate it safely with a walker, which is really, really innovative and really, really useful. So, applause for all of the participants and the industry experts who participated in the XR hack, and I love that we're moving the XR industry forward.
Cool. Yeah, I think all the hackathons are extremely helpful. And also, I think a long time ago, I read a news that hackathon becomes the new HR, like hiring place. For example, like people who won the hackathon prize got mentor, got, for example, like startup fundings, or like a company just directly hire the team members who won the hackathon. So I think you see like a lot of people, for example, like a college student, they were wondering what can they do. I think the best way is to show up in those types of like a big hackathon with a lot of sponsors. And sponsors usually provide, for example, like their untested um, API SDK device. For sponsors, what they can get is that they can get early access, early feedback, and also like their things get tested out and see if there's any feedback. And also brand promotion, right? And for the participant, they can not only network with other people, and also they know the company, and company people work there or mentor them will know them. And also if they really like their project, or by the networking they like them, and the company just directly hire or do some business with them. So I think this is a great way. It's probably the new future types of hiring or exposure for young people. Yeah.
Yep. I think that's really interesting. I have a son who's studying interactive new media, and one of the pieces of advice he got from his mentor is, everybody's going to have the same projects in their portfolio when they
Yeah.
graduate, but it's the stuff that you do outside of that that really separates you. Same thing for these small startups who are trying to start. You may not be able to get all the way there, but get as far as you can, and then go to events like these reality hacks, and the community will help kind of lift you up and find the solutions to the problems that you have.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And I think this is a really good way. For example, like instead of, I would say, instead of trying to do the same thing, for example, you saw a resume, right, to LinkedIn. Every time when you see there's a job description, like within 1 hour, just post, it's over 100 application, right? So how can your resume stand out? And every time you can tell that a lot of people start like, why there is no hearing back, right? For all those, because everybody can do it. It's like if you follow what everybody's doing, it's very hard to get anything, because you are part of that. I would say red ocean or blue ocean, right? Red ocean is that For example, imagine you are in a ocean and where there are a lot of sharks. Every sharks were starving and there's only a couple of small fishes for the food and every shark fight each other. But on the contrary, for the blue ocean, there's only one big shark in the abundance of fish, right? So I think the best way is just like you said that just do something different and stand out. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to transition, a nice way to do that is to keep up on AI and what's going on over there. What stuff do you have today, Dom?
Yeah, okay. So team pretty much cover the XR part, and for me, I will cover the AI part. Okay, so for the AI news this week, I find out there's a very interesting observation. Yeah, the one is called AI detects a 5,000-year-old city hidden beneath the sand of the Middle East. So pretty much a long time ago when we wanna find like a new old like a civilization buried underground, we usually have to send uh, a big team and stay there and dig in and handheld like some device and spend a couple of months, right? Especially for example like in the Dubai desert, it's very hard to send someone there and stay for months and to find things. And sometimes people just cannot find it. However, there's a new technology. It's called synthetic aperture radar, SAR. That types of technology allows that device kind of scan through like the satellites or some low orbit, some kind of like a device, and then it will scan the entire area. And the different thing about that is that it will come back according to the light, right? The light will get through, and there will be obstacles. So according to that, the light hitting and reflect back, they will kind of color different probability of potential things hidden under the ground. So it's kind of, if you Google that technology called synthetic aperture radar, you can see in NASA. NASA usually use that types of technology to understand what's on the ground without even getting in and dig underground. So you can understand or predict that maybe there's a civilization or something that is not normal under the surface. So pretty much by using AI, like scanning the surface, people find out there are 5,000-year-old city hidden beneath like a Dubai desert. So I think this is also good, the good side usage of AI that really help us to facilitate or increase the efficiency of research.
I think
Yeah.
that's an interesting point that a lot of people are really focused on the technology of AI. Like, what does this do? Well, one of the things I think it does is unlocks a lot of things that we can do with the data and the tools that we already have in combination. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the human creativity of using something that exists and
Mm-hmm.
using the tool of AI to, find a hidden city that's been beneath people's feet for 5,000 years and no one knew it. I just find that to be amazing.
Yeah, and the other news, it was just come to my mind. DOGE, the Elon Musk like a government efficiency something like
Hmm.
the group. The core member, I remember, I don't know the number six or something, was from 19 to 26 years old,
Oh,
like a
wow.
super smart young kid. And I think the reason why they pick a young kid is probably because you see, in order to cut government thing, you need somebody who doesn't really know the bureaucracy, right? Like, because if you hire somebody with a lot of like very old, they probably know, oh, this person has been there for 30 years. I cannot cut. But for young people like 19 years old, they just like, oh, look at the data. Oh, this person is not working well. So let's cut it. So I think that's probably part of it. And the other interesting thing is that there was one like an intern. I don't know. He was intern in Tesla or SpaceX. I forgot. But he was the person who did a hackathon using AI to figure it out the text in the old ancient script. For
Oh
example,
wow.
like yeah, so he invent an AI, and before nobody can read the ancient word, right?
Uh-huh.
Like the linguistic or like archaeologists, they couldn't figure out like the old ancient written word. But he invented. He was just 19 years old. He
Yeah.
invented that AI, and it read really good, well, and he won the hackathon. But I personally think, wow, this is like a and he said that he just very interested in history. He was not even good at those like words or like
Yeah.
linguistic things. But we can tell that young people with more like innovative, disruptive mind can pretty much overthrow a lot of new things. So this is also the part that is controversial and also very interesting to find what the new era is. It's just like, wow, it's a lot of things that we thought, oh, for example, we need to study something and for 30 years in order to unlock something. But now there's another technology who can just overthrow all the like a stereotype bias like concept. I
Mhm.
think it's crazy.
It's it's all about asking about not saying this is the way we've always done things, but trying to find new ways to do things.
Yes, yeah. And the other news was from, it's from NPR. The title is called Six Unsettling Thoughts That Google Former CEO Has About Artificial Intelligence. Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, he has some concerning about AI. And one of the interesting thing is that I think the conclusion for those six is that because people are highly rely on AI right now. For example, when I write email, I always think my writing might not be professional and there might be something that people might guess wrong. So I always want to let AI to rewrite it so it will feel like more formal. But this gesture will make, we start trusting AI more. And sometimes AI will distort my thought. But I was like, if this is the formal way, then let's do it. So somehow I will be influenced by AI. And the former CEO of Google, he was concerning if the society, because before the history, for example, like I read the book Sapien, right? The author mentioned that the very difference between AI era versus human era, like the fourth industry evolution, is
Hmm.
before human create the culture. Human direct the entire thoughts. For example, our popular culture is led by human, right? For example, president or pop star is all human. But now it's switched to computer AI. For example, now people start heavily use AI, and AI is pretty much designed for collective human thoughts and with the previous pattern and predict, right? So we are like, for example, right now news anchor, right? And people who write the news media, right? And right now you see like for DOGE, they pretty much put all the data into AI and let AI calibrate, right? So, and recently I saw like, wow, a lot of HR start using AI tools to hire people, right? So I can start seeing that AI before was a tool and now it becomes start influence our thought. And later on, it start decide our performance, decide whether we are qualified or not. And he mentioned that in Plato's time, there was a thoughts is called philosopher thinker, which Plato thinks that for the king needs to be thinking, broadly, thinking wisely and make the right decision. And I started thinking that I saw a lot of like a new trend, like for example, HR or like companies use AI to train their manager to learn how to ease the conflicts and do some practice with AI and get some validation. I can see that AI slowly become on top of it, train us, and later on, maybe AI, the collective human, that brain will start governing us because you see people start trusting AI more than human because human you will feel like, oh, that person might have some selfish thoughts, right? It's not transparent. AI is follow the algorithm. So later on, I think the entire world slowly becomes more like an algorithm based and also less human, but more like a performance. You see, like right now, the tech, right? You can see everything like treat human as more like a, yeah, like there's a certain threshold or something, right? You need to meet. So I think what he concerned is that later on, we might allow AI to govern us, become our governor, or we will have an AI president, right? Something that we trust more than the human president. So this is like a start getting to sci-fi that uh, I don't know. I just feel like yeah, it's probably will happen.
I think it's a good thing to call out as a concern. When I talk to clients about AI solutions that we're exploring with them, there's always a role for a human in the loop type of process, right?
Yeah.
Like AI can't do everything. So I think it's really important to understand where humans fit in, and I think human robotic interaction is going to be a huge profession very shortly
Mm.
because it's going to be important to understand when to work safely with robots or
Yeah.
automation or AI. And I think the risk factor is an important thing to think about when understanding where human in the loop is. I also did a blog post this week about the best that AI can do
Mm.
is meet your expectations. AI can never exceed your expectations because it's based on an algorithm and there's a top level of this is what you should do. But when there's a human in the loop, you always have that human creativity and the ability to pull random things in that aren't part of the structured data to create a new solution. So I think there's always going to be a place for humans in the loop, but it is an important thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and also there's another news called AI could replace 70% of tasks in computer-based jobs, study says. So pretty much right now you can see the disruption for AI. Pretty much I remember there was a news says that if you find out your job is not really interactive with real human, but look at the computer screen the majority of your time or complete your task every day, look at your screen, it's very likely AI can replace you because instead of human inputs, it can do the best algorithm and run it. And also in 2025, Mark Zuckerberg predict that AI can replace the Meta AI can kind of equivalent to the mid level of engineer. So this makes me think that wow, so a lot of people will start need to think about what to do the best. And if you see DOGE, right, they pretty much cut a lot of department. I was like, part of me feels like wow, because I actually read a very interesting news. It was hilarious, but I want to share with everyone that, for example, like what Doji cut, what types of project that Doji cut is hilarious. First one is gambling for pigeon. For example, they spend like a 500,000 research in kind of for like universities to create a token-based economy where pigeons are taught to gamble with slot machines. Yeah, I was like, what? That should be cut, right?
Yeah.
And then another one is that bees on cocaine. They spend like a 240K to study for like another university for uh, to study the impact of cocaine on honeybees. It's just like a lot of ridiculous project being cut, and the other one is super ridiculous. It's called shrimp on treadmills. The National Science Foundation NSF funded 1.3 million to make shrimp run on a tiny
Oh, wow.
treadmills at the College of Charleston in South Carolina. Yeah, it's like just let a tiny shrimp run on treadmill. I was like, why doing those types of ridiculous thing? And they cut probably a couple of $1 billion just on some like for example the sexy goldfish where portion of this funding went to experiment on what makes goldfish feel sexy. So it's like, I don't know.
Those are
It's yeah, those are ridiculous. I think a lot of it can be cut. I totally agree because I think a lot of people and also the federal government, some of them are not even working on things. They stay remote at home and get free pay. I think those cuts are making sense. But I think another part is that um, a lot of department, I think it's probably good for the world, like like the international. I forgot the full name, but international, and we usually allocate some money to help people to live a better life outside United States. But right now, it seems like everything is so centered back in United States. But I understand that we are deficient. A lot of money we lose a lot of money and our entire country might go bankruptcy. But it's just like I feel like it's go so extreme. Even though some project I totally agree that hey, making a shrimp round treadmill that need to cut. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, when you talk about the a lot of people use an ROI calculation for AI of jobs like jobs eliminated, right?
Yeah,
And I don't know that I believe that that's the best metric, like long term.
yeah,
I understand it's a really compelling cost case
yeah,
analysis, but I think a lot of people are doing jobs today they could be upskilled to do better jobs for a company. If
yeah,
your business case is that we can reduce, let's say 3,000 headcount
mm,
because we're going to automate these processes. Well, that's
yeah,
3,000 people who've worked for your company probably over a year and they're invested in your company and they know about your company and the way that it operates. So how can I think there's going to be this role for companies to uplift those and I'll call it redeploy those resources in different ways that both fulfill them more, and but net might not necessarily result in the same financial, like the same the dollars and cents at the end of the day. But long term, I think that's a much better strategy. Also, when I talk to my clients about AI implementations, we talk about task efficiency and we talk about, a person, if we can save them 15 minutes a day times 3,000 people, that's a lot of value without reducing headcount. You're just getting more efficiency and operational value out of those resources. So I think it's going to be really important again to understand where humans fit in this mix, and it's not just a rip and replace with AI. But I think AI is an extremely valuable tool, and people should be exploring it more.
yeah. And I think right now, AI, next week, there will be something called AI Action in France. There will be a lot of agendas such as sustainability, privacy issue, and also they recruit a couple of like a AI project in education or in healthcare or in different types of things. So yeah, let's see what that come up with. And also I think for like a security issue, every time when I see security and then the head of the people who handle security are those people who are already on news. They pretty much take a lot of internet data without consent. So I'm wondering, like, I know that AI in AI era, security, data security is so important, but it just feels like we are trying to address it, but the people who execute the way all the company execute is still doing the same thing, but under a good surface of while they are doing a good thing. Every time when I saw, for example, like there's a company said, "Oh, we care about your data," da 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 da, but at the end they say, "Oh, powered by ChatGPT or OpenAI." I was like, "Wow, you tell me this is super secure and you tell me you're I mean OpenAI or even though there is no official saying how they get their data, but it seems like we all know how they get they get their data. So I think every time we implement something into AI, feeding something, we like even my email that I put in, there's always something being trained, right? It's like I input something and that thing will go back and train. So the more we use it, and people even said that the more we use it, the less intelligent AI will be because humans' intelligence will drag the AI down. So yeah, so I'm just wondering um, how this security things will work. And besides, people start proposing that it's called self data governance, means that everybody owns their own data. And then if, for example, I own all my data, and if, for example, I play mixed reality game, I share this part of my data, but once I finish this game, I retrieve my data back. Yeah, maybe this is a way, but also concerning is that, yeah, people just said that, hey, if you want our data, big company, you have to pay, right? Because right now, company pretty much get free data
Yeah.
and have a paid version to resell the customer. I know they did some magic to make some AI bot, but it seems like it's a must earn types of business because your resource is free. So I don't know whether maybe this might work. However, it just yeah, right now all the website or something say, oh, we care about your security or data.
Yeah.
I always don't really believe that.
Yeah, I think there definitely has to be a value proposition. I think historically people have used data for things that were it was a relatively equal balance. Like it doesn't cost me much to give you my email address, and I may get a lot of marketing emails from you on on that. So it seems like it's relatively level. But I think there's been a long-standing quotation or um, idea that data is the new oil. And I
Yeah,
think there's a lot of truth to that, but we've not been able to mine it until now. And now I think it's getting to where there's an imbalance because you can use these tools as a company
mm,
and use them in a way that is less equitable to the consumer who gave you that data. So I think you're right. I think there's also a model where there's an economic model where consumers can get paid for that data.
yeah.
And, I will share my data with you, but I also get a discount or I get, whatever that looks like. I think there will be a model in the future for that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm very curious what the Paris AI can do, and also if you see China, right? I mean, I read Chinese news, so I saw Chinese or China knows their AI is much better than America. If you saw like recently there was like Chinese Lunar New Year, right? Just passed. During that time there was a kind of crew of robots dancing.
Hmm.
When you see that video, you will know that actually, and if you saw a lot of like a Chinese like a video clips, you can see a lot of drones laying out and become a really nice animation on the sky. So I think, and you see DeepSeek, right? DeepSeek are like a Chinese like a young group of engineers, and they pretty
Hmm.
much beat up the shaking up our AI entire like a system. So I think China, and if you see like the rank of people who think in America who has a super high potential or who is the smartest, I don't know where I got that chart. People said Chinese especially international. Like for example, they grow up in China and they came here and they grow up outside of US or grow up in China. And the reason why I think is because for people grow up in China is so competitive. Just to get one person and come here, it just that person need to beat up or get like one person, one out of million versus in America, right? So I think that types of mindset and also the drive, the self drive is super high compared with people who are born here. And after that, they come back to China and brought a lot of great knowledge, and also, yeah, they just knock it out. So I think that there will be very interesting, even though there are a lot of tariff, in between trying to counterbalance. But I think all the tariff will harm us at the end because you make the price so high, you purchase something, the original price so high, you will eventually sell high price in your country. So that's my
And I think
thought.
that drives a lot of the automation though, right? Like
Mm,
we will be in a spot where there's a lot of robotic labor in the
mm,
United States. And what does that mean?
mm.
And if you can have a robot working 24 hours a day, never taking a break, what does that do to manufacturing, for example, and the
Yeah.
cost of manufacturing in the US? So I think there's a lot of both human dynamics and automation dynamics that are in play. I think there's a lot of interesting political environment right now across the world even so it's
Mm.
we're in a time of great change, I think, and so it's kind of, sometimes you just feel like you got to hold on and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, wow, everything I feel like, wow, that's doing great. But on the other side, I'm concerning like, well, actually, some part is to exaggerate. Need
Sure.
to calm down and think more, like cancel the education department, even though it sounds weird, even though, I mean, when I look at that education department, it's really doing nothing actually. And for example, like LA fire, right? They are doing a lot of fire rescue, and it doesn't really make sense that federal need to have something and then they have to apply it. It's just like a lot of middlemen or like a agency are redundant. You just give to state, might be
it's
easier.
it's interesting. I've got a teenager, and so we've had a discussion where what does learning as a human mean now that you've got so much information at your fingertips?
Hmm.
Right? Like, he was doing algebra and he's like, "Am I ever going to use this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, but
I
you
think
need to
as long
learn it.
as you you
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
right.
basic, yeah,
But he's
basic,
like, I can just ask Siri and Siri will tell me what the answer is. I don't need to know that. And so
yeah,
what do people need to know, and what skills will talking about future, I think there needs to be some revision of what we teach and what humans need to know. Again, where do humans fit in the process is really important. But he brings up a really good point because when my wife's dad was a kid, he had the same argument, and he's like, why do I need to know arithmetic? Because I'm going to have a calculator whenever I need one. It's the same,
yeah,
technology advances this, but how are we keeping up kind of as humans with these core systems like education, and what does that
yeah,
mean?
yeah. So that's why I don't know. I mean, whatever I learned because of this era, I feel like what's the meaning that why we are even here?
A
if
lot of
if
questions are being asked right now. Yep.
yeah,
But I
yeah,
think it's good for people to have discussions about important things like
yeah.
education and
Mm,
trade and
mm,
automation,
mm.
and the discussions are what makes things better for everybody all the way around.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that's it for today's discussion. I think we have a very wonderful discussion, and hopefully next week we will see like what's AI actions doing, and also learn more about like a XR front team, and also I will keep diving in like what's AI and what types of like news in AI. Okay, thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye bye.